Yo, 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 Mr. Fritchie Boy here, and I'm hyped as hell, guys, to be showcasing my Millicent DeckTech. This is originally a pre-constructed deck, a pre-constructed commander deck that I upgraded. So you can either buy the pre-built commander deck, upgrade it to what this is, or you can build it from scratch. And I don't know which way is cheaper, probably building it from scratch, but enjoy. This is a great deck to bust out for testing new commander decks, new pre-constructed commander decks. Because every set we get new commander decks, there's power creep going on with them. Each commander deck set is overall usually better than the last. And so when this originally came out 2021, 2022, the original iteration of this deck would not be able to compete with the new commander decks. But with some simple upgrades, you can smooth out the flow of the deck, the strategy, and make it viable against modern commander decks. Millicent, the commander, is a leader for this. We got a white-blue 5 costing, 4/4 flying. But don't worry, we can reduce that sweet cost for each spirit we control. Great for getting around that commander attacks. Very relevant in this. Whenever she or another non-token spirit you control dies, or deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 flying spirit with that's white. So with the way that she pushes you is aggro, but with the colors we're in, control comes so handy with white-blue. So I decided to build this as Phantom Control. Alright, let's get into the bones of this deck. The mana base. So we got a Temple False God because it is ramp for us. And white-blue, our ramp options are limited, so it's nice to just have a land that can help us out later. Same with Myriad Landscape. These are both good budget ramps without having to affect the spells you play. If we get desperate for creatures, this can convert our fodder in the graveyard into spirits. Don't have much recursion. We can be drawing a lot of cards on this deck, very useful. Just a color fixer, good in budget. It can definitely be upgraded though. Another good budget land, copies mana your opponent's lands can make. We got a Glacial Fortress. This is nice fixing. In the description, I'll have a link to a posting of this whole deck so you can get detailed breakdown of what each card is, the cost of each card, and I think you can even just mass buy the whole deck if you're interested. And stay tuned for the very end. I'll be showcasing budget upgrades you can make from this point from this deck and non-budget deck upgrades. This is a nice fixer with basic land types. Alright, so we run 37 lands, 3 MDFCs. We run Underwind version. It's a plains, or it can be a board wipe. Very nice. This one is kind of jank, but it's always good to have more spells and lands. You want about 38-ish lands as a baseline for most decks. This one runs 37 with 3 MDFCs, so we're in that perfect spot. This is a hideaway land that we can get with attacking with enough creatures, get a free spell. Alright, boring ass basics. You see a lot of those in budget decks. We run a total of 11 planes. We run Sink into Stupor. A couple bucks, very nice though. I highly recommend it for blue decks. You need this. Alright, if you want to make this deck even more budget and cut that $100 price tag down to like 80 bucks, drop this land. It's nice control. It's nice having an island that can control the field really well. But, you know, if you want to save 20 bucks, I would not blame you. Got pretty land. A lot of these lands are the original one from the commander deck. In this, we got 10 multicolor lands. We got 4 ramp with utility lands, 11 plains, 10 islands, and 3 MDFCs. If I was putting this deck in a bracket, I would say it's definitely bracket 2, no game changers. But maybe, I like to think it's a 2.5, maybe a 2.2 or some crazy crap like that. Got Soul Ring for a ramp. I like the medallions, especially in non-green colors. These can be better than a lot of generic mana rocks that just tap for 1 if you can multicast spells, which this deck is capable of doing. Ramp and color fixing. Talisman. I love this for the little bit of ramp and the card draw and recycling your graveyard later. Very, very, very great utility land. Love it for all budget decks. It's not too bad in a little more expensive decks too. So while our ramp package is a little light, we do play a lot of card draw to make up for that. Decks should have around 8-10 ramp, but if your mana curve is a little bit lower, you can play more card draw to make it up. This great budget card draws for each creature, good to deploy mid-game usually or later. This is kind of makes everyone our friends. It kind of reveals to the table who the biggest threat is. It lets everyone draw additional card. New Final Fantasy art, Frantic Search. I love this when I'm desperate looking for a board wipe or something. These are all of our card draw. This one lets us mass draw. About a third of the time it does nothing, but ceiling is crazy. The floor is really crap, but it can be great. I think it's worth it. This is one of our biggest spirits. It gets us life back. Whenever we gain life, we draw a card. Double Strike lets us draw 2 cards off of that. We'll be generating a lot of small bodies, so this is justifiable to be a non-spirit. Plus, we don't have too many spirit-specific payoffs. So this guy lets us draw for power 2 or less creatures, which we got a lot of those in the deck if we pay 1. Our commander poops them out. This guy lets us investigate, where X is the number of opponents we have. Whenever you draw your second card, create a 1/1 spirit. I mostly like it for its second ability. If you're running a more blink style version of this deck, you drop the aggro, go more blink, this card becomes 10 times better. That's a big thing I dropped with the original version of this deck, was almost all of the blink is gone because it didn't really fit. You asked a lot of spirits blink, but the deck itself wasn't built around it. The commander rewards being aggressive. 1-drop that lets us draw late game. This guy's an all-star, can cheek its way through, hit people, lets you draw cards. Whenever opponents cast their commander, you can draw a card. Cool card. This card reads better than plays, but still ain't bad. It's some card advantage for sure. Alright, so that was all well and good, but you can't have a aggro control deck without a lot of control. So up next is where we're going to be controlling the game. So we got board wipes, we got graveyard hate, and just general removal. So the last thing we had 12 card draw, and we had 6 ramp. This board wipe is great for the versatility. The 3 or less lets us keep most of our board, lets us hit whatever we're not playing more of. Very versatile, good budget for board wipe. Supreme Verdict, it's nice to have a non-counterable board wipe for any other control decks. This one, definitely so easily replaceable, but come on, that spirit in the background fits well. Pretty decent budget. Vanquish the Horde, that's just an all-star. So you notice we run 4 board wipes plus our MDFC. If anything, you could run more, would not hurt. I love these type of effects that neutralize the commanders, make it so that they don't die, but they become useless and you gotta deal with this card. It's actually a lot better than just straight up killing commanders 90% of the time. Path to Exile, it was moderately appreciated where it should be respected. Then I think it kind of got underrated, and so don't underestimate us. Path to Exile, it's great for getting past those pesky indestructible guys. Plus, you can always trade a spirit for a land. That's never bad. Spell Pierce, cheap counter spell, love it. You gotta run your counter spells, you gotta eat your vegetables in a control deck. Swords Plowshare, just like Path to Exile. In some cases, it's more dangerous, but a lot of time, early game, Path to Exile is worse. Late game, Swords Plowshare is worse. We got another neutralizer for creatures. Get rid of their ability, make them indestructible. Counterspell, that's card advantage for us and our opponent, but if you stop their big thing, you don't care. Definitely a budget control card, but it's still very relevant, still very good. Imprison to the Moon, we got a third effect to neutralize commanders. That's a big thing with a lot of new commander decks, is those commanders hit, it's game over. You gotta just knock them the hell out. Spell Queller, a body, and it takes opponent's spells. You gotta love it. This guy's good for tapping down opponent's creatures. Unfortunately, we don't have a crap ton of instant sorceries, but when it does trigger, it's pretty nice. There's not a crap ton of powerful spirits to choose from, so you kind of gotta take what you can get. Counter spell stapled on a body, love it for us. Ghostly Prison and Windborn Muse, they're both ways to add attacks and effects for when opponents try to attack you. You can also, if you want, add Propaganda, triple up on it. I find 2 to be more than enough, but it's a really good incentive to be like, well, Spirit Deck's not the scariest, and it's a pain in the ass to attack them. Let's keep them around. So they're very, very valuable. Shuts down those graveyard shenanigans, graveyard-based decks nicely. Could probably justify running 3. I think 2 does the job, though. Plus, this one comes with a really nice body attached to it. This body can be very relevant, sometimes our biggest creature all game. Alright, so we know how we're going to control the game, our strat with that. But at the end, after we've done all of our little bodies, and we still can't punch through because we're not the biggest, strongest creatures, biggest, baddest creatures on the field, how do we get through? That's our bombs, our finishers. A lot of decks lack finishers, so we pack at least 3. Oyobi, who split the heavens. He is a 3/6 flying. Whenever you cast a spirit or arcane spell, that part's irrelevant for us. Create a 3/3 white spirit creature token of flying. So we're tripling the size of all of our spirit bodies for the most part. Very cool, very strong, can win games for us. This is easily probably one of our best finishers. Converts all of our creatures to have the same base power and toughness, where it's X, and we can pay into it. And it counts as a spirit too, because of it being a changeling. Love it. And then we got this Duskmorn card. The win condition really is the second half. Creatures become the base power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control. So after you go wide enough, you can make your board go tall. You can get them really chunky and beefy and ready to take down anything, any Eldrazi or dinosaurs. And then another one is if you're desperate and you just need to get some bodies going. It's nice. And besides that, our other main win condition is straight up just punching through with a ton of little guys. So we need a few ways to protect our board and specific key spirits in our deck. Selfless Spirit, it can sack to give your creatures indestructible. And just the fact that you're announcing to the board, I can protect all my shit whenever, kind of makes people have to play it around it. They're more less eager to shoot off their board wipes, knowing you could probably protect it. They gotta waste a kill spell directly on the Selfless Spirit. If you can give it a flash, it's an insane surprise. We got a Swift Foot Boots, mostly for the commander, but also other key spirits that we want to keep around for value. This guy flashes in and gives our one spirit hexproof until end turn, so only can quick save from a removal spell. But the key thing that makes this guy really good in this is it gives all of our spirits flash. So it does quite a lot for 2. And then we got this guy, he's an Anthem, but the thing that protects us is that hexproof. Makes our guys a little tougher to take out. And we like that boost, it can help out a lot. Besides that, we got counter spells to prevent our opponents from firing off any problematic things that'll ruin our day. While our graveyard recursion is pretty limited, we do have 2 options, and they're both creatures. We got an Angel Spirit, the Karmic's Guide. It's a 2/2, 5 mana, flying protection with Echo, meaning your next turn you gotta sack it, and or you pay its 5 cost. So usually you'll just sack it because a 2/2 flying body isn't really worth paying 10 mana to keep around. But it ends up being a 5 cost. Return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Very nice. We don't like losing our stuff. It's tricky to get back, so I'm glad we got some way in the deck to do that. And we also got some recursion for our instants and sorcery. So if we need to recast a board wipe or a utility spell or anything like that, we got it right here. And if you can give this guy flash, you can reactivate your counter spells, stuff like that. Very, very nice. A little expensive, but I like the value. If you hit something expensive based off your number of spirits, then it's good. While we don't have much payoffs for being directly spirits, we got our commander, a few spells, a couple creatures. These two lords directly help us a lot for doing spirits. This guy gives our spirits melee, which can end up being +3/+3 for each creature, and it prevents all non-combat damage that be dealt to your spirits. So really only relevant against burn, but it's a weird form of control that shuts people down, and most of the time when you play, if it does shut them down, you don't even get a seat because they won't cast that shit. Then we also got a Supreme Phantom, just a generic lord, 2 mana, can't really beat it. Here's some miscellaneous utility spells we got for the deck. We got a way to boost all of our creature tokens, and this gives them vigilance so they can attack and have good defense for us. Haunted Library, if you deploy it early, can just generate a lot of bodies. The only annoying thing is keeping 1 mana for it, but it can do a lot of work in some games. Really nice against like aristocrat decks too. Benevolent Offering is a very cool political tool that can help an opponent out a ton. It can help out 2 opponents a little bit, but you get most of the benefits. It's a card that I would cut definitely for upgrades, but for budget, it's fun, or if you're just trying to keep the deck more fun, it's a fun political tool. So our creature count is a little low at 32 creatures for the deck, and we have a couple spells that generate creatures, spirits, and a land that does as well. So make sure when you're playing, you really value and utilize when you should deploy your creatures and when you should hold back from board wipes. Alright, now we're going to go through miscellaneous creatures that just the leftover creatures that didn't fit in any other categories. This one's kind of a control creature, takes out non-basic lands. It's really cool if you playing at higher tables and you decide to bust this out. It can shut down those really pesky lands that can win games. We got a guy that's anti-vampires, but also just a nice body with lifelink. Come back equipped with the same text box to a creature. Very cool, disturbs a cool mechanic to get some graveyard replay value from our cards without having to take up a card slot for a specific graveyard recursion card. This guy totally would upgrade, replace. It's too slow, too expensive. Kind of fills the slot. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's definitely upgradable. I'll probably be upgrading him myself. This card's decent. It's a 2 mana 4/4 flying. It's very aggressive. And when it attacks or blocks, you sacrifice it. Has that sick disturb mechanic, so it gets some more value, because that wouldn't really be worth a card slot. That's all it did, 4 damage at most. When it dies with commander, we can get a spirit, and when it sacks itself, we get a spirit. So worst case with our commander out, we get 2 spirits from the front side. But not just that, we can disturb it for 3 and get an enchantment aura. With enchant creature has whenever this creature attacks, create a 4/4 white spirit creature token with flying that's tapped and attack and sack it at end of turn. You exile it if it goes to graveyard. So yeah, it's got a lot of value, gives you something to do if you kind of end up in the top deck situation of the game. People tend to forget about disturb cards, especially ones they don't view as too impactful. So we got Geist of St. Traft. It's a 3 mana 2/2 hexproof, and when he attacks, create a 4/4 white angel creature that's tap and attack and exile. So just like the disturbed backside of the last one. Very, very cool. Used to be like the best spirit, just hands down. Now it's a little contentious. Still an all-star. We got Donald, Herald of Wings, 4 mana, 2 being blue, for 3/3. Whenever you cast a non-legendary creature spell flying, aka every spirit in this deck, You get a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types. If you're going like more combo-y, you could throw in like a mirror box and cards like a real legend roll, and you could try to do some cheesy stuff with it. As is, it just kind of doubles our value spirits. Probably replaceable currently how the deck's set up, but right now, budget, it's good. Good value. It's also kind of lightning rod for removal, and it sucks to see it go, but it doesn't hurt too bad because you would rather people be scared of this, waste their good removal on this, opposed to stuff that's guaranteed to get value every game. Because the non-legendary rule really limits what we can copy. Speaking of copy, we got a guy that can copy any creature on the battlefield except it's a spirit. So it can really just steal the best thing on the board. And I did forget the disturb side, so for 5 mana, you can cast it from the graveyard. As an enchantment or beginning your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of an enchanted creature, except it's a spirit in addition to its other types. Yeah, that's why that's a huge boost to this card. So 4 mana is a little overcost for a copycat effect, but for being spirit, that makes it acceptable. But the fact we can get value later and just keep every turn just generating more and more copies of shit, it's good. And we can do it to opponents' stuff too. It's a nice 1-drop. We don't have too many 1-drops in the deck, so it's nice just to have a solid 1/1 that can get a body later. Got the commander out, can get 2 bodies for it. Bestow, that will never come up. This guy is in between a bomb and just a nice spirit. It lets 5 mana, 5/4 flying vigilance is one of the better spirits. When it dies, it has an effect. You put 2/1/1 counters on each creature you control or vehicle, so it can do a huge buff on our whole board. Very relevant. If we got a couple anthems out, our spirits are now 4/4s plus. Very dangerous. Or we can look at the top 7 and search for an answer that's a non-land permanent with mana, total mana value 4 or less. And you can put onto the battlefield, the rest going the bottom in random order. So this guy is super sick for either boosting us up into the late game, you don't mind if he dies, or if you're trying to set up later, he's great too. Alright, time for some budget and non-budget upgrades. Let's start with the mana base. It does the job, but you can definitely fine-tune it, make it way more powerful. I would drop a Plains for a Minas Tirith. I think that's just a straight value play with what this deck's trying to do. I would also drop a Plains or an Island for a Pain land, quick dollar land. For budget, I would add a Shock land. I'd probably just take out another basic for it. I would add a Fetch land. I would add the new Wood Flood Farm Verge. And I would also, specifically for non-budget, I would take out the Temple of the False God, and upgrade it for an Ancient Tomb. Very pricey, but just strictly a better upgrade. And I would also take out the Temple of Enlightenment. These Scry lands, enter tap, I always end up replacing in budget decks or commander decks. They're nice, but it can be easily replaced by Surveil lands, any land with a basic land type in its toolbox. Alright, upgrades for creatures. So I don't have direct swaps yet figured out for what creatures to do out for what upgrades. So I think the part of the fun would be kind of figuring out what you think should get dropped, in your opinion, to tweak the deck. But these are some creatures I would definitely add. I would add the Empyrean Eagle, and I would definitely, without doubt, drop the Twilight Drover. It doesn't fit. We're not doing counter synergy. It's too slow. I would also add a Guardian of Faith. It's great surprise protection for our board. Phasing out is universally one of the best ways to protect your board from almost everything. I'd get a Kira Great Glass Spinner. Consider taking out a Swift Foot Boots for it, or another just kind of low value spirit. For non-budget upgrades, I would consider a Moonshaker Cavalry. That would be high value. It'd be another bomb, and it would easily be one of the strongest spirits in the whole deck. Right, for the non-budget, or for the budget upgrades for the spells, I have only a couple of things. I'd get a Raise the Palisade and or a Split Up. I think this deck needs more board wipes. I would probably drop a counter spell for either of those. For the non-budget side, you gotta get a Cyclonic Rift. Blue-white, you need that. Same with the other staples of Smothering Tide, Rhystic Study, great stacks, great control, great advantage for you. Counterspell, easily swap it out for any high tier counterspell. I like Mana Drain. We can get value from it later, and it's good, but it's not like too cheese. Free counterspells can rub people the wrong way. But if you don't have a problem with that, Fierce Guardianship would be great too. You can add it with the Mana Drain or to replace the counterspell. And Clever Concealment. T-Pro also would work too, and or with T-Pro. We need a couple more ways to protect our board. And for the budget upgrades, you can do them. I would recommend doing them in addition to the non-budget upgrades. So you end up really changing the deck, but you turn it from bracket 2-ish to bracket 3.5, 3-ish. So you can take it competing with pre-con decks out of like any year now to now we're competing with some of the top big dogs. Alright guys, let me know what you think of my Millicent deck. I've been tweaking it for a while, dropped the blink, dropped other avenues, and kind of focused in on just the beatdown and control. If you got any other additions you think you would be great for this deck, I'd love to hear them. Leave a comment, and can't wait for the next DeckTech show you guys what else I got in my collection. Ciao!